Hey mathematicians, it's Mr. Lambright back again for another video, this time on writing equations of lines, whether it is from a graph or from information that you are given by your teacher in the problem. So let's go on ahead and jump straight for it. We're going to get started. So we've got a couple of forms of lines. There's actually a third form that we're not going to use. We're not going to use standard form today, but we've got slope-intercept form that is y equals mx plus b. And we got point-slope form. And there's something I just want to point out in point-slope form. We are never going to plug in numbers here. Those are always going to be variables. And we are only going to plug stuff in to these three spots. We'll get to that when we start using some of these equations, but I just want to make sure you understand these are permanent and we plug things into the other three spots. So it says we want to write an equation of a line with the given slope and y-intercept. Man, that sounds familiar, almost like slope-intercept is a form. We're going to use y equals mx plus b. The slope is m, the intercept is b, and that's what we're going to be replacing. So for the one where m equals 3, the y-intercept is -1. Instead of m, we're going to put 3. Instead of plus b, we're going to put -1. See, I would write plus -1, but we know that plus minus is negative. And we're going to do the same thing again. The negatives have flipped on us, but it doesn't matter. Y equals mx plus b. The m is -2. B is 7, so plus 7. And that's it. Those two problems are already done. This is going to be one of the quicker videos and quicker sets of notes that we're doing so far. So if I was going to write this next one with slope-intercept, which I'm going to, I've got 3 things in the problem that they've given me, and I'm missing one of them. So they've given me an x, they've given me a y, and they've given me slope, which is m. So the thing I don't have is b. And that's what I need to look for first. So we are going to plug everything into y equals mx plus b. Instead of y, we're going to put 4. Instead of x, we're going to put 5. Whoops, I got ahead of myself. Instead of m, we're going to put -3. Instead of x, we're going to put 5. And then plus b. This one's going to be a little goofy looking. So we've got the -15 plus b. We're going to add 15. And we got 19 equals b. So finally, we need to go back. And in this equation, when we write the final equation, this is intended to be an equation where y and x are representative of all possible y's and x's. So we're not going to put the 5 and 4 back in. We're going to put -3x and then plus 19. So to recap, in a problem like this, we are given an x, a y, and an m. We need to solve for the b first by using the x, y, and m. Then after we find b, we plug in just the m and b, and we have our new equation. So in a previous lesson, we talked about parallel and perpendicular slopes. The parallel slope is the same slope. The perpendicular slope is the inverse reciprocal slope. So first, we've got our point on all of these. We've got 2, -3. And then we've got our slope. On the parallel one, the slope is going to be the same. It's going to be that -4. On the perpendicular one, the slope is going to be completely different. So the 4, we're going to inverse it. The inverse is the fraction, the flipped version. So if we had -4 over 1, this is going, and I put the over 1, it's implied as always. We're going to have, again, inverse, so that's now positive, and then reciprocal, flip the fraction. So the slope for the perpendicular one is 1/4. So now that I have an x, a y, and an m for all, or for both of these, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to plug in, I'm going to solve for b, and then I'm going to plug in just m and b. So again, we've got x and y in the equation y equals mx plus b. Y is -3, m is -4, x is 2, and then b is what we're solving for. -4 times 2 is -8. And then we add 8 to both sides. B equals 5. So now that I've got b and m, y equals m is -4, x plus 5. And we're just going to cut that off right there. And we're going to do the same thing again. Y equals mx plus b is our starting point. We will replace y with -3, m with 1/4, x with 2. We're going to have a fraction on this one. I'm just warning you ahead of time. -3 and 1/4 times 2 is 1/2, plus b minus 1/2 minus 1/2. B equals -3.5. That's probably the easiest way to do this. Yeah, that's the easiest way to go here. Normally we would not write decimals in an equation like this, but I think this is the best way to go because the fractions are going to be worse. And now that I've got b and m, I write my equation. Y equals 1/4 x and then minus 3.5. Wow, that's a bad 5. A better teacher would edit their video, but I am just erasing. And we've got one more problem to go. In fact, by the way, this one looks super weird. We would almost never mix fractions and decimals in the same problem. But again, I just think writing 7/2 seems silly when we're doing a graphing problem. Yeah, so you remember that equation that I said we were going to use, but all we've done is use y equals mx plus b? That equation is point slope. I'm going to rewrite it here at the top. It is... No, it's cool. I didn't want to write. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Remember, these are staying. We are not editing those. We're not replacing them. So, 1, I don't have a slope. And so, before I go anywhere, I need a slope. So we got the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I haven't labeled anything yet. x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay. Now I can do this. So I've got y2, 10 minus y1, 2 over x2, 2 minus x1, 5. I've got 8 over -3. Well, this is going to be fun. Okay. So we've got this equation, and we're going to pick a point. x1, y1 is already labeled for us. We're just going to go with that. So we've got y minus, instead of y1, we're going to put 2. And then m is -8/3 times x minus x1, which is 5. And we normally don't stop here. We normally take it all the way through to y equals mx plus b, which means we got some math to do. So I've got -8/3 times x, which is -8/3 x. And then I've got -8/3 times 5, which is +40/3. Okay. Then I need to add 2 to both sides. And this one's going to be a little messy. But 2 is the same thing. If we multiply times 3 over 3, we're going to get 6/3. So 40 plus 6 is 46/3. And that is our answer. And just like you, I immediately doubt my answer, so I actually went to the Desmos app and graphed this, and I found out it did go through the points 5, 2, and 2, 10. It's always a good idea to check your answer, just like I did. We do it all the time. We want to make sure that we're right, especially when we get an answer that looks kind of weird. But again, so to do this, we need to find the slope. That work is no longer on this screen. We found the slope. Then we plug that and one of the xy points in. Solved, not solved, but simplified, so it was in y equals mx plus b form. One thing that I didn't say, and I'm going to say this now, that is a minus sign. And so if y1 had been negative, it would have been minus minus, and we would change it to plus. If x had been negative, it would have been minus minus, we would change it to plus. Just, we got lucky and all of the points were positive. We want to make sure that we don't screw that up. The minus is from the equation, and then if we had another minus to bring in, we would write them both, and they would combine into a plus sign. That's where we're at. We've got an assignment on writing equations from lines. It is on Canvas, I believe. Good luck, and as always, message your math teacher if you have any questions. Thanks, and bye.